Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I know. Welcome back. I am your host, L. Welcome to another special episode of The Issue Live. I hope everybody's doing all right. I mean, goddamn, I'm gone for a couple weeks. And next thing I know, everybody's in quarantine panicking. Jesus Christ. I hope everybody's all right. I mean, we in here with you together, you know. But to talk about, because one of our previous episodes, not the last, but the episode before that, we had our very special guest to talk about the coronavirus. And with everything that's developed now, from then to now, I think was an important time to bring him back. So with that being said, he is a pulmonary and critical care physician, a national spokesperson for the American Lung Association, an assistant clinical professor of the internal medicine at UCR School of Medicine, my old job, the medical director and CEO of Rutland Medical Group, West Coast Lung, and the host of Medicine Deconstructed on YouTube, my friend, Dr. Cedric Jamie Rutland, everybody. Jamie, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody?
How you doing? Everybody's doing good, man. Here in the studio. A lot's changed since last time we spoke to each other.
Yeah, and, you're telling me.
This time, right? I wanted to just honestly, this time I wanted to more or less just talk to you and get your version of what do you think the way the things have played out thus far, and how well do you think things are going, if they are going well at all?
You know, I think first of all, just a quick recap. We're talking about the SARS coronavirus 2, right? So SARS-CoV-2, which is a RNA virus. Okay, whenever we're describing viruses in general, we describe them as DNA or RNA viruses. Some have double strand, some have single strand. This is a single-stranded RNA positive sense virus. Now, as I mentioned before, this virus basically evolved from its cousin, which was SARS-CoV-1. And that outbreak was in like 2003 in China as well. And, we're not 100% sure, but it's just one of the coronaviruses, which is what this is, mutated. And instead of affecting animals, it was able to infect humans. And then the SARS-CoV-2 kind of came to be.
I just saw that too, that they're just now trying to, right now, I guess they're just trying to retrace its steps. And originally they thought it came from bats, but they're not sure how it made that jump.
Yeah, typically speaking, you have bats kind of are the ones that are infected by the virus. And then you have to have some kind of intermediate host. So you have to have some kind of animal that humans interact with that gets infected. And then all of a sudden, the virus can infect a human being after it mutates and it's able to obtain that ability. And then it just goes.
Yeah.
Now, the top three things about this virus really are, number one, it's extremely infectious. That's number one. Okay. Number two, we don't have any proven therapies for it. We have therapies that we're using, but nothing's really proven.
What is it what is it? And this is something actually my wife wanted me to ask you, because she knew you were coming on. She wanted to know, in the serious cases, right? The serious cases that are actually like killing people, what is actually happening?
Okay. So here's what happens. So if you guys all who are listening, I want you guys to just close your eyes for a second. Now, as you take a deep breath and air travels through your nose and through your mouth, through your trachea where your Adam's apple is, into your lung, that air is traveling through pipes that lead to a bunch of balloons that are stacked on top of one another. When you're thinking about these balloons are lined. They're lined with cells, right? So whenever you blow up a balloon, if you see a green balloon or a yellow balloon or orange balloon, that color of that balloon is basically cells that are kind of flattened. Within those cells, there's a type 1 pneumocyte, type 1 alveolar epithelial cell, and a type 2 alveolar epithelial cell, pneumocyte. The type 1 cell is kind of just a cell that just kind of flattens out, chills out, and it's responsible for allowing your body to gas exchange, allowing oxygen to get into your bloodstream.
Okay.
The type 2 pneumocyte Its responsibility is more. Its responsibility is to support the type 1 pneumocyte with nutrition and to secrete certain molecules that help out the immune system and also allow the lung to keep its elastic capability. So the lung can still be almost like rubber bandish. It's able to expand and relax. You can take a deep breath in and out. It reduces the surface tension of the lung to
Okay.
allow the lung to expand. So, this is where things get a little bit tricky. And I want to emphasize that anybody can learn this. When you think about the type 2 pneumocyte, there is a certain receptor on that cell. A receptor is essentially a flag, so to speak. It's a flag that's calling for something. Now, in this case, the receptor on the type 2 pneumocyte is called the angiotensin converting enzyme receptor 2. Who cares about the name? It's a receptor.
Yeah.
This is the receptor that SARS coronavirus 2 binds to. So your wife said, well, what the fuck happens, right? So
Yeah.
this is what happens. Once that coronavirus binds to that cell, your body is supposed to recruit white blood cells to fight this infection and to kill the cells that are infected with this virus. That process takes time. So
Mhm.
once the white blood cells get recruited to the area, they're able to notice what this virus looks like, and then they can create an antibody to neutralize everywhere where this virus is currently present. That process takes 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
Sometimes, when that process is taking place, remember how I said your lung is full of balloons? I want you to imagine if those balloons are full of crap. So, white blood cells,
Shit.
fluid, whatever kind of molecules, instead of being full of air, it's full of
Yeah.
crap. And so your
Mhm.
balloons get clogged and you're no longer able to gas exchange and you can't breathe.
Basically drown to
That,
death.
correct. So in that sense, what's happening here is that your lung is full of things that don't allow you to gas exchange. And so you develop what we call, we'll say a pneumonia, right?
Yeah.
Now, I had mentioned that the white blood cells get recruited to the lung to fight this infection. The way that process works is you secrete certain molecules that we call cytokines. When those molecules get secreted, they recruit white blood cells to the area, but the cytokines can kind of drain systemically and kind of open up your entire system to basically flooding. So your blood pressure goes down, and you get really swollen and you develop what's called shock. So instead of the blood staying in your blood vessels going to the organs, your blood and your fluid kind of leak out. We call it third
Okay.
spacing. And your organs don't get enough nutrition and they start to fail. And it
Jesus.
sucks. And
That
it
sounds
does.
awful, Jay. That
It's
sounds
it's
awful.
awful. It happens frequently in my line of work because I see it. But in these
Yeah.
patients with coronavirus, it happens, and that's essentially what they die of. Is they die of pneumonia and
Now,
or shock.
does most of the time, right, when it comes to those people who do die, a lot of the time a lot of those people, I should say, have other underlying health problems, correct?
So, yes, I mean, some of those people do have underlying health problems. So, if you have lung disease, for example, if you smoke cigarettes or if you smoke
I did quit,
even
Jamie.
marijuana to a
I
certain
did
extent,
quit.
that's great. That's great. Um, it damages your lungs. So, you just have less lung capacity. So, if you can imagine a
Oh,
situation where
yeah, you're
you've got
filling up, you
pneumonia
have
going
less.
on and you
Yeah,
got
that's
less
tough.
lung, you're
Yeah, you're
fucked.
fucked. Yeah.
Right. And so, and the same thing. So, what we're noticing is the elderly patients are the ones that are most susceptible to this virus, right? If you're over 80 years old, your mortality is anywhere from 15 to 27%,
Wow.
right? So,
Wow.
we're talking almost 1 out of 3 people
Yeah,
who are 85, 80, 85, that if they get the infection, they're going to die.
that's crazy,
It's
man.
crazy.
So
It is crazy.
I this is another thing, and again, thank you for your time. And so this is something I wanted to. I think you can explain this better than I can. I've been trying to explain this to people. They don't quite. I don't know if they don't quite get it. They don't want to. But I was trying to explain to them that the reasons that they're trying to get people to self quarantine have more to do with hospital capacity than the virus itself, right?
Yeah. So, for example, you know how if you go to the grocery store lately, everybody's in line to go to the grocery store, and everybody's trying to go grab toilet paper, right?
Yes, that's
So
exactly.
what's happening in the grocery store is the same shit that'll happen in the hospital. Everybody will
Yes,
get sick at the same time,
yes,
and we don't have the capacity to take care of all,
exactly.
whatever, 40 million Californians. Okay.
Hmm.
And the other reason we're trying to get people to self quarantine is to stop really spread of this infection. So on
Hmm.
March 16th, okay, on March 16th, the United States had about 4,200 patients were infected with this virus on March 16th.
March
What's
16th.
today? March 16th.
Today
What's
is
today?
the 18th. That was 2 days ago.
Okay. As of right this moment, we have 9,345 people that are infected.
Known infected,
So
right? Correct.
that are known infected. And so it's essentially doubled and a little bit more within 2 days.
Hmm.
A couple of days ago, we were saying the doubling time was 4 days. Now we're at 2 days, and this is the doubling time.
Yeah. And
In
see this. Yeah.
California,
Go ahead. Hmm.
we've got 860 cases and only 16 deaths. It's not bad. But that's what's going on in our state. So
Yeah.
self quarantining is preventing the spread of infection. That's
Keeping the
what we
hospital
want.
count threshold lower, so you don't
Correct.
have people dying in the streets, basically. People, because
Correct.
this
And
was
so
something I was trying to
people,
explain to my friends. Right, I was saying that look, the quarantine aspect has to, because there's other life is still aspects of life are going to happen with other people, car accidents, gunshot wounds, cancer patients, whoever, whatever it may be. Somebody might fall off a ladder. Who knows? And when you have this virus that has people, flocking to hospitals, what you don't want is this threshold to go over, and the people who need serious, triage aren't going to be able to get a bed in a hospital because such an influx of people in there, and then you have real people dying on the streets.
right. Exactly.
Thank you, man. Well, Jamie, man, you know how much I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to us here on the issue live.
Hey, no problem. The other thing I just want to mention is
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
we have to have the government has to do a better job of providing us test kits, and they
Oh
have
my
to do a
goodness,
better
tell me
job
about it.
of providing us with supplies that we can wear when we're entering the rooms. I just want to stress that Italy has had 48 healthcare providers die,
Wow.
right? And that is because they ran out of supplies. They ran out of masks. They ran out of supplies, and doctors refused uh, to not take care of patients. So they continue to take care of patients
Of
despite them
course,
being out of
yeah.
supplies.
Of course
You
they
get an
would.
extreme exposure, you develop an extreme viremia, and you get really infected. And what I explained earlier is what happens to docs.
Yeah.
Um,
You
so
guys are on
you
the
know,
front lines out there, man. And, man, I can't express my appreciation, enough.
yeah. So anyway, so look, I hope you guys have a good conversation tonight. Just let me
Absolutely.
know if you want me back to update you guys. I'm happy to do that. Just let me know anytime.
Oh, man. Absolutely, Jamie. You're a good friend of mine, good friend of the shows, and to the viewers out there. So thank you very much, man. We'll talk to you later. All right, Jamie?
All right, y'all. You guys take care.
Thank you, brother.
Well,
Way to make me feel better about life.
yeah.
But that's the crazy part about this virus, and what he was kind of speaking on is how just ill prepared we are for this whole
Yeah.
situation. You know what I mean? Just ill prepared, and I think that's the bigger thing. That's the bigger thing. The whole message of this entire virus
Yeah.
is that in America, the richest and most powerful country in the world, excuse me, we are so ill prepared for something like this, running out of masks and the ventilators that are used for serious patients who need them. You know, I think we were talking about it earlier, Javi, how this. I honestly feel like this might be like, after 9/11, after in 2001, after 9/11, the whole world changed after 9/11. And I kind of feel like this is another one of those turning points.
What's really crazy to me is when he brought up that they're running out of supplies themselves, and that's one thing that the media isn't even touching on.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I mean? That's
48 caregivers in Italy, a place that's totally locked down. And a doctor, a doctor's gonna be a doctor. They're not gonna stop treating people.
insane. If they do, what repercussions does that come with? if any? You know, your conscience in his own mind thinking, I could have done what I wanted to do, but I just wasn't able to because I didn't have the resources to protect myself from helping these people that need help. That's insane.
It's an unfortunate situation, and you know, you see the dominoes start to fold, to drop. You know, my son's school is out till next month, the end of April, which is, and honestly, I don't think that's where they're saying that now, but I think 2-3 weeks into this, they're gonna extend it even further, possibly into the fall. You know what I mean? And if that has a domino effect on parents who need their kids to be at school while they're at work. You know, and underprivileged and and poor and lower class people who need the school to feed their children. You know, it just has a huge domino effect, and it's crazy. And all while this is happening, you have Wall Street getting bailed out in this whole process. You know, easily as a snap of a finger, it's already done. I think it was, what day was it? Go hit the next.
Let's go ahead and jump to it.
I don't have a date on this one, but a easy 1.5 trillion. I like the way that just gets injected into the short term lending market. And you don't hear about that anywhere. I didn't pull this story off of Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. Wall Street had it hidden in the back of their Twitter somewhere. That's how I got this story. And and nobody ever, as much as Joe Biden loves to how you gonna pay for Medicare, Bernie? How you gonna pay for it? How do you pay for this? They just snapped their fucking fingers, and $1.5 trillion. However, we went over before how much money that is. $1.5 trillion is an unimaginable amount of money that me and you could never even attempt to spend in our entire lifetimes. Wouldn't even come close. But I will say, and you guys know that I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but the man is trying to come through. And I have to say he's doing a better job than, in 2008 when the banks all crashed and people were getting evicted out of their homes and Obama bailed out all the banks, and he didn't stop and everybody was getting tossed out of their homes. He didn't stop evictions. He didn't stop foreclosures.
Yeah.
He didn't give the American people $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. How is Donald Trump beating the fucking Democrats at this?
Yeah.
How is Donald Trump beating the Democrats?
The very same people that try to impeach him. Yeah.
Trump is to the left of them. Yeah. How is it that this is the guy? How are you letting Trump look better than you? This is why I talk about the Democrats the way I do. They're so fucking useless. They're so useless that, I'm not a fan of him. But how is it that this guy even knows, no, the American people need money right now. We didn't shut the schools down. People can't go to work. There's people that's going to be on the verge, millions of people on the verge of being put out on the fucking streets because of what's happening right now, because of this virus. And Trump understands that more than the fucking Democrats. Look at Kamala. This is fucking Kamala Harris's tweet. This is a Democrat. Javi. A Democrat. Before the crisis, nearly half of the Americans were $400 unexpected expense away from financial hardship. That's why I introduced the LIFT Act, to give up to, Javi, up to.
Yeah.
So this is top of the top, up to $6,000 a year to middle class families.
And Trump is going to give that within the span of what? 2 weeks? He's going to give about $2,000 to everybody within a span of 2 weeks apart from each other?
I think between probably a month.
Probably a month.
It depends. I think 2,000 is what they're gonna say. It's gonna end up being on the lower $1,500 range. I feel per person per month instead of household. Just give it to the person, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna have red tape and bureaucrats if you try to introduce this and stipulations and this when in reality people need it right now. So he's more than likely just it's basically just gonna be a mass send out to everybody you can get it to. he's gonna for sure have his names of people who he knows that don't need it, millionaires and other people who might be able to opt out, or look, we'll send you this check if you want to opt out, send it back type of get down. You know what I mean? People who so for the people who don't want to take advantage of it, he's gonna have to do. But Kamala Harris, $6,000 a year to middle class. So if you're lower than middle class, go fuck yourself. And if you are middle class, you're gonna get a middle class family. So my family, I have 4, me, my wife, and our 2 sons. $500 a month. $500. There are low people on welfare get more than that in food stamps. You get more than that in food stamps.
Well, if there's anything I would credit her for when saying something like this she did say before the crisis, so she didn't really give her opinion as to how much she would want to give.
You talking about now?
Crisis, yeah.
Well, no. Well, she was saying before this crisis, nearly half of Americans can't afford.
Yeah.
She's just saying that they can't afford $400 before this crisis. So during this crisis, I'm gonna give you $6.
So she's just trying to piggyback off of the good that Donald Trump and his administration is doing by giving families whatever.
$500.
Well, that's before the crisis. So
no. That's not before the crisis, Javi.
No, well, because that's what she stated.
She's saying before the crisis happened, half of Americans.
Nearly half of Americans were 400 unexpected expenses away. So she's basically not really saying, this is what I want to give now, this is what I would give.
Yeah.
She's just saying, before all this shit started stirring up, this is what I had in place to give, since people were $400 away from being from financial hardship.
Yeah, in this Lift Act.
I mean, it's still not much, but at the same time, she isn't stating that I want to give this to the people that need it now. You know what I mean? During this time, during the pandemic. I
can see that, but I mean, and then she's only even talking about the middle class, who if anybody, I mean, they're gonna hurt her too, for sure. I don't want to exclude them, and I mean, we're all in this together. I get it, but I mean, the people who live day to day, check to check, you know what I mean? Those people who work off of tips, who barbers, what I do professionally. A lot of these Democrats, Nancy Pelosi talking about a payroll exemption, other Democrats talking about payroll exemptions. These things take place from months and months down the line. Like, people are getting laid off today, and I don't know, man. I think
that's what happened in 2008.
Yes,
they paid Americans money, not so much, but they gave Americans a check, but they didn't get it until 2 months after the fact.
Yeah,
2008.
After they're bounced out of their house.
Yeah. So,
and I have to say, pretty soon, I mean, right now, everybody's just practicing social distancing, right? Which is going on right now. But I honestly think, man, we're getting to the point where we're gonna go on full lockdown pretty soon. I want to say like Friday, Monday at the latest. I really do.
This Friday, this Monday.
I really do.
I can see that. I can see more.
Monday latest. People are in limbo right now.
Yeah, I can definitely see it happen. Like, let's just say the timeline is true with April 6th, where they're gonna give us the Americans that check on April 6th.
Yeah.
I think the Monday before that, the week before that, or that Monday on April 6th is when they'll go full effect on a full lockdown. Because then it gives people kind of time to prepare. I don't know if they'll announce it ahead of time, but
that makes sense.
Them giving out just checks to Americans, and I just don't know. It makes more sense to me that they would then lock us in.
Right, when we have the money,
when they're able to help us, and there's more structure in place for us to be like, okay, this is how you guys are getting your food. This is the only way you guys can do it. Use this money that we're sending you, but you can't go out and spend it on dumb shit. And I guess in that way, they kind of ensure that the money goes back into the economy.
Well, that's what absolutely has to happen. I mean, but something for sure has to happen. I mean, you can't, like I said, you can't shut down schools. You can't tell people, restaurants and everywhere else where, regular working Americans work, shut down their way of life, their well-being, and not be able to compensate them for that. And I mean, you'd have a scenario where you're putting millions of people out on the streets. So I honestly feel like they have no choice but to give Americans money.
ESPN LA did a dope thing today.
What they do?
And they said, tweet in or send in whatever, call in what business that's currently open that you guys are, that you guys are still, if you guys need the business, if you're open and you need the business, give yourself a shout out, tweet it out. They'll retweet it out for you in front of all their audience for free. Nothing, no.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they did that today. And if more people can continue to do that with platforms for companies that are trying to stay open during this crisis,
yeah,
it'll help everybody.
Well, they'll have to for sure figure it out if we for sure do go on full lockdown. Because if we go on full lockdown, right, it's going to have to be a few grocery stores open.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be grocery stores, maybe. I'm trying to think what else would have to be out there. I want to say just basically be grocery store and whoever's working, basically, be able to mingle. And even that, man, I mean, it's hard for me to even think 2 weeks. People will be able to be on lockdown for more than 2 weeks. This is America, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to start be some.
Yeah.
It's going to be bricks start going through windows after 2 weeks. I don't even think I want to say a week, but I'm trying to be gracious and give it 2 weeks before cabin fever kicks in and motherfuckers start launching rocks through windows.
What's gonna suck is that if they decide, okay, grocery stores stay open, now it's which ones, and if they decide which ones, now the grocery stores down the street are closed because they can't make any money from it. It starts to become tricky.
It does. It does. Well, the whole UBI plan isn't just extended to drugstores. That's a good point. What up, CJ? The whole UBI isn't just extended to Americans. It's also Boeing.
Quick question, if you know, is it residents or citizens?
Citizens.
No resident. So anyone that's a resident, that's a legal resident of the country, isn't going to get that check.
With this administration, I doubt that a illegal resident would get this check.
Well, I'm not saying illegal.
I'm going to say homeless for sure.
There are legal residents. There aren't citizens yet.
That's a good point.
I
don't know exactly, but if I were to guess with this administration, legal resident, I don't know if you make that cut.
I've been seeing
if you are... That's a tough one because...
Do you think they should get it?
Do I think they should get it? For sure. I think anybody who's out here living and struggling through this, should get it. I mean, I believe. I mean, if you're gonna spend the money, spend the money. Mm-hmm. What are you trying to cut corners for? Just you already spent. Just fucking spend the money. Make sure the people who need to get it. You know what I mean? Whoever's in the household, figure it out. You know what I mean? However you have to. If you can't extend it to every legal immigrants or whoever you can. It's not even a case whether I agree they should get it or not. I'm just saying that if there's a way to get it to them, get it. If you can't figure out the logistics of giving it to them, then I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But if you can, you can. You know what I mean. But if the logistics in it, because the thing that has to happen is things have to happen now.
Yeah,
things have to happen now. With the way fucking Washington works and bureaucracy and red tape, things have to happen now, and they have to happen fast. Because the last thing you want to happen is already basically what's happened is our late reaction, us not having test kits, us not having face masks, lack of ventilators for the patients in critical conditions and stuff like that. So that's what we have to get into. But I don't know if you heard anything from Joe Biden.
Joe?
Sleepy motherfucking Joe. Moving on to my main story tonight. I want to talk to you about the guy, Joe Biden, who the Democrats are about to send out there to try to beat Donald Trump in the next presidential election. And for all you people who just want to beat Trump, you need to understand that Joe Biden is not the person to do it. In fact, all the Democrats who dropped out and backed Biden have basically just guarantees that the Democrats won't win another presidential election for the foreseeable future. I mean, I can basically guarantee it. The Republican Party saw the writing on the wall when it came to Trump, and although they put up a little bit of resistance to the change Trump ushered in, they all united around him. Not only united around Donald Trump, united the entire Republican Party around Trump. I mean, the Republicans haven't been this united since fucking Ronald Reagan. Democrats are nowhere near this united as the Republicans. Nowhere near. And the corporate media is going to tell you, it's the fault of all these dumb kids who want free stuff, right? Like healthcare, education, living wages, and a livable planet. You know what I mean? And it's so funny that now here we are in this crisis, and like everybody wants socialism now. Here you are in this crisis, and everybody wants socialism now. It's crazy. I was watching, before I got here, Jimmy Dore. I was watching the Jimmy Dore show. Great show, you guys. If you haven't heard of it, check him out. Great show. He was giving his theory on why other countries like Great Britain and all this stuff offer free healthcare to their citizens. And he was saying that they've already went through stuff like this before. They've had wars fought on their home soil. So they understand the need and necessity to give their people health care. You know what I mean? Because they've literally fought wars. Imagine Jimmy Dore said, imagine asking a kid whose house or whose home just got bombed where his insurance card is, Mm-hmm. And that was his explanation of why he see other countries socialize their medicine, because they've gone through much worse hardships than we have here in this country, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I see where it's coming from. And now that we see ourselves in this crisis and the reality of what it's doing to people.
Yeah, we've kind of put ourselves through hardships we shouldn't have need to have gone through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it comes to race, when it comes to just the bullshit that we just deal with as Americans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when it's just all like surface line nothing stuff, you know what I mean? Exactly. When it's like a real catastrophe like what's going on, we are so ill prepared for it. Yep. Just so ill prepared for it. So like and like I just said, that the corporate media is going to tell you that it's all these kids who just want free stuff, healthcare, education, living wages, livable planet, you know what I mean? But in reality, the Democratic Party is just so corrupt and so out of touch with the American people that they can't see outside of their own asshole. I mean, they're willing to tear their own party down in order to keep Bernie away from the nomination. And I'm going to get to Bernie and my disappointment in him a little bit later. But this is how corrupt and out of touch the Democratic Party is, that they are willing to burn their entire party down. Because after this happens, when Joe Biden loses miserably to Donald Trump, their entire party is going to basically be decimated. And I don't see them having a future going forward. The establishment Democrats are literally willing to burn their entire party down than to give way to the new progressive Democratic Party. They'd rather see it get burned down. Joe Biden might be a less motivating person to vote for than Hillary fucking Clinton. I mean, can you imagine Trump up there, hopped up on Adderall on the debate stage, hopped up on Adderall and Sudafedrin, throwing zingers at Joe, calling him fucking Sleepy Joe and shit? Like, that motherfucker can't even put a sentence together. Joe Biden can't even put a fucking sentence together. Clearly suffering from the early onsets of dementia. And Trump gonna be out there like...
And for a lot of people like myself, this is just from a personal standpoint.
Yeah.
I'm not someone that's always into politics. I'm not someone that's always watching the debates. But I'm someone that just keeps my ear out and listens to what's going on out there at every now and then. And someone like me is not going to vote for Joe Biden.
Why would you?
I'm not going to.
Why fucking would you?
I'm going to look at Trump. I might not vote at all, but I might look at Trump and be like, you know what? The last few things that I remember him doing was sending a check to every fucking American.
And would you see Kamala Harris? Would you see and a Democrat who gets out-lefted? How you get out-lefted by Donald Trump? I wouldn't blame you. I had this discussion with the older gentleman the other day, and it was a great conversation we had. And he was saying he was supporting Joe Biden, and I was asking him like, what is the difference? Mm-hmm. Tell me, please. And he said, well, he cares more about social issues, and I'm like, well, Lottie fucking die. I don't care. I'm sorry, I don't care. So what? That's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Just because he takes the moral high ground doesn't give. They're the same thing. They're the same exact thing, if not worse. If not worse, at least Trump talking about giving Americans $1,000. I would have never thought that I would be here in fucking March looking at Donald Trump like, damn, he's not doing that bad of a job right now. Like, okay, for sure, I don't want to say just that, right? Because a lot of what made us so ill-prepared was how he gutted the CDC and the spending and the budget for them and a lot of the provisions that come into being able to handle stuff like this. So I don't want to give him too much fucking credit, right?
No, yeah.
But when it comes to coming through, right now for with the people, it looks like that's what's going to happen and he's going to do it. Yeah. And if that's the last thing people see before they go to vote, and it's a choice between him or Joe fucking Biden.
That's exactly what I'm getting.
I keep saying it. You keep giving the American people a choice between bad and worse, and you can go fuck yourself. You can go fuck yourself.
I'm a regular ass guy that doesn't follow this shit. Trump has my vote, or I'm not voting.
Yeah, and I don't fucking blame you. And Javi, please don't let nobody fucking make you feel bad about it, because this is the thing people need to understand. This is another thing that I think this was Crystal Ball and Sager were talking about on the Hill. The Rising is their show. About your vote is your power. That all that blue no matter who shit is bullshit. Yeah. That vote blue no matter who, that's a fucking con. Your vote is your power, and that's something. Well, I'm gonna get into Bernie. I'm gonna dig into Bernie, motherfucker. I'm gonna dig into Bernie in a second. But before we dig into Bernie, we gonna take a dive into fucking this failure of a man named fucking Joe Biden. This is the person who they think is going to go in there and beat Donald Trump. This the guy.
Democratic presidential candidate Joseph Biden today faces a controversy. 3 weeks ago at a debate at the Iowa State Fair, he used phrases identical to those delivered by British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Biden seems to be claiming Kinnock's vision and life as his own.
Why is it that my wife is sitting out there in the audience is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Janice the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania and come up after 12 hours and play football.
8 hours underground, and then come up and play football.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
There was no platform upon which they could stand.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you'd have to go back and find and attribute to someone, I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
The problem here is that Senator Biden told his audience he'd just been thinking about these things, and he failed to give any credit at all to his famous British speechwriter.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
Cannot measure the health of our children,
The health of our children,
the quality of our education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
Joseph Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that it was unintentional.
He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
He was given an F.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
It gets worse. It gets worse.
To the political community in Washington, it all seems of a piece. Plagiarism at law school, plagiarism on the stump.
The great communicator. Strike that. The great imitator.
You don't steal verbatim.
It was a joke.
Or when you do, as he did 99% of the time, you give credit.
Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions really belong to others, it's a form of false advertising.
Is it a wise idea, though, to take something that personal, anyway, from another politician and try and appropriate it to your own campaign?
I think it was a stupid thing to appropriate material that was really very personal, that was someone else's.
Most people didn't know who he was, Joe Biden, and now they're going to say, oh yeah, he's the guy who plagiarized.
There's a lot of people.
Politically, that's devastating. These clips are devastating. He looks like a Joe Biden wind-up doll with somebody else's words coming out.
If they're going to do things that are stupid as well as immoral, then they're probably too dumb to have the job of president.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
Bye Biden. He may not know it yet, but I think this is going to be very difficult for him to recover.
Is Joe Biden dead meat, yes or no?
I think so.
Bob.
Terminal condition.
Terminal.
It gets worse.
Senator Joseph Biden may have more explaining to do.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
That's who they got to beat Donald Trump. That's who they got to beat Donald Trump. Another pathological fucking liar. Another one. Bad or worse, Javi? What are you picking? Bad or worse?
Like I said, if I'm either voting Trump or I'm not voting. Last year, not last year, 4 years ago, I didn't vote. I didn't trust Hillary. I didn't trust Donald Trump. I didn't vote.
I don't blame you.
This year, the last thing I'm going to remember is the Trump administration. When it came down to it, although they fucked up and did a lot of stupid shit, but when it came down to it, they did what the Democrats are blocking him.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi is actively trying to block him, what he's doing.
From giving this aid out to these people.
Yeah.
So, they're voting Trump, so I'm going bad. I'm not going to go worse, to answer your question.
I don't fucking blame you. And don't let nobody blame you. Don't let the media blame you, nothing. Like I said, your vote is your power. And this is another thing. We get so mad. We call Trump this pathological liar, right? He's this, and we just saw how bad of a liar Joe Biden is, right? But you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's old, right? That was in the 1980s. That was the first time he ran for president. Well, okay, let's take it up to last Sunday at the last presidential debate. Let's see what other lies he's telling.
Talking about the necessity with pride about cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare, cutting veterans programs.
No.
You never said that.
No.
Time after time, you were not a fan of Bo Simpson?
I was not a fan of Bo.
You were not a fan of the balanced budget amendment which called for cuts in Social Security? Come on, Joe, you won.
Look, here's the
You're an honest guy. Why don't you just tell the truth here? We all make mistakes.
I am telling the truth. You said that I, in fact, why am I rated 96% by the Social Security Organization? Why am I viewed as a strong?
That ain't what he asked, Joe.
I have laid out how I will increase Social Security.
Well, that's good. I laid that out. Joe, let me repeat it again. I want you just to be straight with the American people. I am saying that you have been on the floor of the Senate time and time again talking about the need to cut Social Security, Medicare, and veterans programs. Is that true or is that
No, it's not true.
I'll answer your question. You answer mine. Talking about the necessity with pride about cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare, cutting veterans programs.
No.
Yeah.
You never said that.
No.
This is Joe on the floor talking about cutting Social Security, Medicare, veteran support, all that.
And while that happens,
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single.
He went down the line. It was like cut all that, delete
and
all that
I
shit.
Tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth.
One more time for me. Right. Delete all that shit.
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth.
Clear. Pathological liar.
I mean, he said he's gonna keep doing dumb things.
And he still does. It's fucking embarrassing. And now I get to rail against fucking Bernie, because fucking goddamn it, Bernie, what the fuck, man? Like, I legit put my faith in you and thought you really had it. Even after they all at the last moment coalesced around Joe Biden just to take the nomination away from you. You were lazy, and it shouldn't even matter. You should have been so far ahead that it wouldn't even mattered how many of them got together to take you down. It's so easy. Joe Biden is so easy, but you kept going up there at debate after debate. Oh, he's my friend. Joe, I like Joe a lot. He's my friend. We work together on a lot of things. It's my friend. Like, no, fuck Joe. Fuck Joe and his motherfucking hood. Fuck all of him. Fuck him, Joe, and his homies. Fuck them. That's what you go up there. Joe, you're corrupt. You're backed by every corporate entity and pharmaceutical companies. You can't be trusted. The American people don't want a choice between bad and worse. You had so many opportunities. Yeah. You are literally the lamest revolutionary I've ever seen in my life. And I'm so mad and disappointed I legitimately put my faith in you. And it's so sad. You had somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, or you guys would have been perfect for each other. Perfect for each other. And you won't even say her name. And she's done nothing but protect you and do her best to have your back. Because she's another progressive. And you won't even say her name, Bernie. I'm so disappointed. I'm disappointed in him and myself. I'm disappointed in myself for legitimately believing that he could do it. I really am. And it's fucked up. I don't care. Tulsi's the only one. Tulsi Gabbard is literally the only one up there with a spine. She's the only one with a spine. She was the first one talking about UBI when all this shit happened. Right?
Yeah.
She was the first one talking about that shit. Not fucking, Bernie Sanders literally inspired half the fucking country into thinking about, into looking at things a different way, into Medicare for all, and getting the corruption and the money out of politics. Inspired entire movements, and you just fell totally flat when it came to leading your own movement, your own people, and leading. And being like, fuck them, and their bullshit. We're coming in. We're going to take over. We're going to reshape the entire Democratic Party. You could have easily done it the same way Donald Trump did it with the Republican Party. You could have easily done it, Bernie, and you did not take the chance. You wouldn't go for it. You kept trying to play footsies with the fucking establishment, and they burned you. That's exactly what happened. You thought if you just played nice, if I just play nice, you know, and don't piss too many people off, maybe they'll let me get this nomination. Instead of just knocking them over the head and grabbing your power and holding your power and using your power as leverage. Stop going out there and telling them I'm gonna support whoever the nominee is. No, fuck them. That's how you hold power. That's how you make the DNC bow down to what you want. Because no, I have the power. I have the people. And if I say don't vote for this motherfucker, they're not gonna vote for them. So either you motherfuckers give me the nomination, what I deserve, or y'all ain't getting shit from me. That's what you do, Bernie. That's how you lead. That's how you take power. And you just refused. It pisses me off so bad. How do I know this? Why do I know this? I'm a fucking high school dropout with a felony. Why do I know this and you don't? You won't do it. It's a simple fucking idea, Bernie. All this blue no matter who bullshit, that's a fucking con. That's a fucking scam. Everybody out there, if you see this choice between bad or worse, tell them go fuck themselves and let them deal with the problem. And leave the Democratic Party, because they're lame as fuck. They're losers. They literally do nothing for anybody. The Democratic Party let Donald Trump out-left them. It's a sad day in America, ladies and gentlemen. But with that being said, man, today's episode was a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun on today's episode.
It was a lot of information. And for those that are just tuning in or tuned in a little late, please go back to the beginning of the stream and watch that Dr. Rutland interview.
Yes. Big shout outs to Dr. Jamie Rutland, who came in. We did a nice about 10-minute conversation about, you know, what's going on with the corona. This is he's a pulmonary, he's a lung doctor, basically. He knows everything you need to know about this virus. Trust me, believe me. So if you didn't get a chance to see that interview, right after this is done, I would just start it over and listen to that. But hopefully, man, as long as, you know, they don't shut me down, man, we're going to keep doing the show. Even if they do, I might be able to sneak out. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But until then, hey, man, I had a great time. Again, shout out to Dr. Jamie Rutland. You can follow him on Instagram at Dr. Jamie Rutland. He also has a show on YouTube called Medicine Deconstructed. Again, on YouTube. And me, you can follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube. They're all at The Issue Live. And that's all I have for you guys tonight. So, until then, I'll see you guys in a few. Stay out of trouble, kids.